On the 30th of May, 2025, IGN posted this. MultiVersus, the free-to-play crossover fighting game, has gone offline for good, and fans are saying their goodbyes. Apparently, this game came out in 2022, but then I realised that the official launch was in 2024. Who else forgot about this game and thought the game was doing well? I mean, I remember this game hitting over 100,000 players on its official launch. Oh, that was just for like a month. I also remember some big streamers playing the game. Surely that brought a wider audience to the game? Apparently not. The game's active players halved literally the month after. Personally, I never played the game, but really thought the game had a fun concept. You could solo or team up with your friends, you could play as a wide range of well-known characters, like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. What was not to love? When I scroll down Twitter, yes, I refuse to call it any other name, even if Ye disagrees. People were literally saying their goodbyes as IGN stated. You tried? I embarrassingly laughed at that. So, all this leads to the title of this video. What happened to MultiVersus? Firstly, the game apparently had a horrendous monetization strategy according to the Direct. Additional fighters had to be purchased a la carte. For anyone including me who doesn't know what a la carte means, and I don't think we're talking about the menu in restaurants. It means from the card, or according to the card. Anyone else scratching their heads? Anyway, cosmetic prices also ballooned in price. Their lack of player base meant that the game's monetization strategy was simply not sustainable. According to a user on Reddit, the game just completely ignored their player base and focused on making one of the worst free-to-play monetization systems in all of gaming. Okay, most free-to-play games have a monetization strategy where you can purchase battle passes, cosmetics, and other stuff. It's their way of making money since the game itself is free. But this game sounded like it was just a cash grab that tried to hide under the game's potential, which ultimately failed. This game had a currency called Gleamium, and according to a Steam user, skins costed 2,000 Gleamium, which is equivalent to $30. So, you're telling me one of their skins costs more than a lot of games themselves? And I know that's the case with other games, but $30? Crazy. Some did cost less, but that's just an example of their stupid pricing for cosmetics. In-game currency, the one you don't have to pay for, was apparently scarce, pretty much meaning if you really wanted a cosmetic, you're going to either have to grind for a million years, or pay. To make things worse, the game had an option to where you could buy extra lives. PC Gamers says here, the makers of MultiVersus say an option giving players the ability to purchase more lives with real money during campaign missions is in fact a bug, and not a feature that's meant to be in the game. A bug? Right. I'm sure we all believe that one. Either way, that never should have been a thing. Seems like people behind this game barely had a clue what they were doing. Onto gameplay issues then, and one of the biggest issues with it was the amount of grinding you had to do to progress in anything in the game. Gaming Bolt says here, you don't get XP from matches, slowing the progression of each character to a crawl. Earning perk points to unlock new perks is also super slow, so if you're not a returning player, be prepared to grind. And, outside the fight currency earned from Rift nodes, completing dailies and quests nets XP and other currencies, but that's the only way to level characters. Yeah, no wonder the game couldn't average more players than Brawlhalla. MultiVersus seemed like the type of game where people just wanted to load in, play any character they wanted, and fight against each other players, rather than slaving away to make any sort of progression. Not every player has all the time for all that grinding. There are things called jobs, which the makers behind this game simply didn't seem to understand. The same article also uncovered other issues with the gameplay as well. Fighters can feel sluggish at times, and there's a frame buffer for inputs, like when attempting to jump up normal, only for a character to remain on the ground for the same. I'm also not the biggest fan of the camera and how it starts so closely zoomed in. It does zoom out as you gain some distance from your opponent, but overall it feels odd. The same goes for the new character highlighting. Highlighted characters for better visibility during fights? Great, but this ugly glowing sheen just isn't doing it. Also, the lack of an end screen stats or an option to change a character during a rematch is a baffling oversight. These sounded like more minor issues to me. Even the slightest of things can be annoying. It's the stuff you pick up on, and a bunch of minor issues compiled together form a bigger problem. Perhaps not as much thought was put into this game. If whoever wrote this article found these issues, well, it's very likely other players would have felt the same. And all that contributes to less returning players. They will go and find another game to play that annoys them less. MultiVersus smells like the type of game that would have a ranked mode. Well, it didn't have a ranked mode in its full release. Seriously? I mean, what a miss to not include a proper, fully working ranked mode. Competitive players make up over half of any game like that in my opinion. And again, it's no surprise to me that the game struggled with active players after its launch month. It is literally a fighting game. Need I say more? Another issue with the game was this, and it ties into the monetization strategy as well. Want to unlock certain characters immediately? You can't practice them beforehand to see if they're worthwhile. So let me get this straight. You had to grind for 50 years to get in-game currency to do anything for free. That failed, so you had to pay real money to unlock a character because you weren't asked with the previous option and you couldn't even test beforehand? Not being able to test them would be fine if progression wasn't a problem to begin with, and you could get them easy enough for free. But the people behind the game clearly banked on the idea that players would just buy the characters instead because it was easier. But lacked all the care in the world to actually allow you to test them to make sure you weren't dissatisfied with your purchase. Yeah, bad decision after bad decision. The game director at the time, Tony H, yeah, you can't blame me for not saying his last name. He said on June the 1st, 2024, many of these features are currently implemented and are in testing, and we had planned. But we're left out due to time as we had to rebuild every screen and feature again to support our new netcode on Unreal Engine 5 Switch. Thanks again, I hope some of this context is helpful. Right, I believe they spent a whole year in this before the game officially launched. And obviously, this was a response to many criticisms of the game. Simply put, there was too many problems and details to deal with, as well as many bad decisions also relating to monetization. There were probably more issues with the gameplay, but I won't get to everything, so I'll move on. The game obviously didn't perform well in numbers. Wikipedia states, in November 2024, the studio announced that MultiVersus underperformed commercially, leading to parent company Warner Bros. Discovery taking a $100 million impairment charge. Warner Bros. Games discontinued the game in May 2025 after closing Player First Games in February. And in February 2025, Warner Bros. Games announced the closure of Player First Games alongside Warner Bros. Games San Diego and Monolith Productions. The company, Warner Bros. Discovery, faced significant losses in its gaming division, with many games failing as well as expectations from the company, including those related to MultiVersus, which partly explains why MultiVersus came to an end on May the 30th. Overall, there are a culmination of factors as to why MultiVersus came to an end. From its terrible monetization strategy to many gameplay issues, its long struggle from being a beta, going offline, and then fully releasing with so many details missing, and external factors regarding the company, profit loss, and studios shutting down. For me, it's a shame. Like I said earlier, I never played the game, but thought it had a really cool concept with tons of potential. The idea of pitting many Warner Bros. Characters against each other sounds really fun, but it didn't work out. I'll conclude the video here then. There's probably a lot I missed out. I think there definitely is. But I feel that I've covered some of the core parts. This is more of a short understanding since I was actually surprised when I saw the game officially going, but wasn't surprised after learning why that was the case. I hope you enjoyed this short video. Leave a like if you did. Don't forget to comment your thoughts on MultiVersus. Did you play it? What were your issues with the game? Are you bothered that it's gone? And consider subscribing to the channel. It'd mean a lot. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.